Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses who are here today. If I were in Moscow thinking about engaging in more election interference in the United States in the coming election, I might consider the following factors. It's been 19 months since the last election which Russia interfered in. It's been 17 months since every major intelligence agency of the United States reported on this interference. It's been 12 months since there was an appointment of a special counsel. And I understand, Mr. Hickey, you promised 2 months from now that a task force that you referred to by the Attorney General is going to give us a public report on what they recommend in terms of this interference. I guess the question I would ask is, how seriously are Americans taking this threat? Is it worth it to go after this coming election that is 19 weeks away? 19 weeks away? We do know that Special Counsel Mueller has aggressively gone after Russian interference. He has indicted 13 Russian nationals and 3 Russian corporations, in addition to 7 others who might have been complicit in this effort. But when we look at the money given to states, $380 million for the United States of America, I think Illinois' share is something like $13 million, and we were hacked by the Russians. I wonder if we can really point to a record where we have aggressively gone after Russian interference, set up defenses and deterrents so that they will not do this again in November. Mr. Hickey, are you confident that we have been, under this administration, aggressively pursuing this Russian interference in our last election?
Senator, I think we've been trying to raise costs on Russia for a range of its malign activities worldwide and here. And in so doing, we have brought charges against FSB officers, not related to election interference, but in connection with hacks of Yahoo and others. Individuals and entities have been sanctioned by this administration. Diplomats, dozens of diplomatic officers have been kicked out of the United States. Russian facilities have been closed. We have been clear and public in attributing malicious cyber activity to the Russian government. We have done so sometimes in a coordination with and in a chorus with our allies. So I think we continue to look for ways to raise costs of malign behavior, and including influence operations that are illegal.
In fairness, Mr. Hickey, and for a complete record, we also have a president of the United States who has referred to the Mueller investigation as a hoax and a witch hunt over and over and over again. And just this last weekend, called for recognition of Russia and the G8 again to give them full partnership back into that organization. It's a mixed message at best. Let me go to a specific. I agree with the chairman. It's not our job to produce new laws if current laws are sufficient. But in one particular area, I've joined with Senator Graham in a bipartisan bill to try and deter Russians who are seeking visas to come into the United States for these malign purposes. We know from the indictment of Special Counsel Mueller of these 13 Russians in February of this year that there was specific activity by several of them, Mr. Krylova, Mr. Bogacheva, Mr. Bovda, that they came to the United States and started casing the joint, looking us over, getting ready for the attack on the last election. They even visited my state of Illinois, which they did in fact hack. So do you believe that the bipartisan legislation which we propose, which would deter people from receiving visas if they are coming to the United States for the purpose of election interference, is a good idea?
Senator, while I can't take a position on any particular legislation today, I think it is important to look at indictments and other cases and measure them against the authorities that exist now and look for ways we might improve or sharpen the tools that exist. And so that is an active, ongoing effort at the department.
I was put off by your statement, we need no additional tools. That I quote you in saying that. And that if you found any statutory gaps, you'd let us know. I would hope you'd be a little more aggressive in terms of the Department of Justice looking at tools that would discourage the next generation of Russian trolls trying to interfere in American elections, to know that we are serious in terms of deterrence and prosecution, and we're serious in terms of defense. $380 million for a nation of this size and its elections. We had some 38 billion that was given to help America vote. You know, we made that investment a few years back. I just don't think we've shown an intensity of focus and purpose to let the Russians or any other country know that we're serious enough when it comes to this next election, and we're only a few weeks away. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.